She has been sighted by people who are lost in the desert, and she appears and disappears and then reappears and disappears, but always leading them. Hi, welcome to Tales from the Attic. This is the place where we tell you stories that could be a little tall, but they could also be very true. It's up to you to decide where those stories come from. Today, we're talking about one of the national parks in America, and it is a place that has some very, very interesting stories. Now, the story that we're talking about started a long time ago, but before we get there, let's talk a little bit about the park itself. The park we are talking about is the White Sands National Park in New Mexico. This place is absolutely phenomenal because it is the largest gypsum sand dunes in the world. Now, gypsum in itself has no color, but when they rub together, they have this beautiful white color that gives the park its name, White Sands National Park. Although it's a desert, this park has a lot of flora and fauna that live there and that are indigenous to the park. So a visit to the park means that you get a chance to see all these interesting things. But what's also interesting is the legend of Pavla Blanco. Now, why she got called Pavla Blanco? Well, that has to do with the whole story. So let's go back in time a little bit and start the story from there. Legend says that a Spanish conquistador by the name of Hernando Luna was living in Mexico, and he had his fiancée there, the beautiful Manuela. And while they were there, Hernando was approached by Francisco Coronado with the idea that he was putting together this expedition that was going to go off and find the lost cities of gold. Now, these were supposed to be cities that had, the roads paved in gold, and the houses had like gold dripping off them and diamonds everywhere. And so obviously this was something that they wanted to check out. What's interesting is where this was. So they were coming in to America. They were coming to like the Arizona, the New Mexico area. And back then, these were unexplored territories. So these two guys decide to put together an interesting combination of people who were going to come to America and explore what was going on. Now, all in all, the expedition started out really well. And by all accounts, the initial stages of this went absolutely according to plan. However, things didn't stay that way. Because as soon as the conquistadors made it into New Mexico and the area where the White Sands are, they were met by a group of brave Apache warriors who defended their territory and stood their ground, causing a lot of damage to the conquistadors. Hernando sadly died in the White Sands, and he was buried there or left there. We're not sure of that bit, but his remains ended up covered over by the ever-moving sands, and nobody knows where his final resting place was. When Manuela heard that her fiancé had died and his body was somewhere in the White Sands, she was grief-stricken, and she couldn't just let it be that nobody would put him to rest. So she came to New Mexico, to the White Sands, looking to find his body. By all accounts, she actually made it to New Mexico and made it to the White Sands. But once she got there, she just disappeared. She was gone. Nobody knew what happened to her or even what became of the people that went with her. Everyone just kind of disappeared. Nobody knows what happened. Now, fast forward to today. Many people who have gone to White Sands National Park have had stories about seeing a beautiful maiden dressed like a bride walking through the sands. And this happens at sunset, always at sunset. It is also said that it happens when there is a wind and the sand gets kicked up. Through the sand, you can see this maiden dressed like a bride, very beautiful. And you just see her for a glimpse and then she's gone. But here's what's also interesting. There are stories that Manuela actually helps people. She has been sighted by people who are lost in the desert, and she appears and disappears and then reappears and disappears, but always leading them in the direction of safety. So, some people say she is benevolent, others say she just appears and disappears for no reason, as it were. So are these stories true? Does she actually still haunt the White Sands? Well, that is something for you to go check out and find out. So if you're ever at the White Sands National Park, let us know what you think. If you ever meet Manuela, give her our regards. Thank you for watching this story. Hope you enjoyed yourself. And until we catch you again, be safe, have a great time, smash that like button, absolutely subscribe, and hope you have a wonderful day. Bye bye.